Fisher. All right. At least I got the Keith right. I'm good today. I'm bad with some names. I get you. All right. So ALOVE was telling us about an article that she found and 5 ways to be a submissive wife. Is that correct?
It was a submissive wife experiment, and she did 5 things that she felt like made the big difference in her marriage.
Okay. Can you repeat those?
The 5 things she did?
Or what did you say about love right before we left? You talked about.
Just about the fact that in being submissive with this particular experiment, it spoke to doing some things for your husband out of love and out of support and out of being a helpmate, more so than being a servant or slave, you know. So she felt like, you know, just kind of changing the perspective made a huge difference in their relationship. And because she came from a better place,
I like that.
it turned around to where her husband started treating her like a queen, you know, versus her just feeling like, okay, I'm doing all this and you know,
Molly
not
May
getting anything
or
from it.
something about it,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
I like that. So, Andre, now that you have a different definition of submissive, does it change the way you view what you said in the beginning about finding a wife who, or a woman who submits?
I guess my views changed totally. I would agree with everything that you just elaborated to, and you know, by looking at my ex-wife, that I at a certain time I loved her to death, but I didn't appreciate the total woman, you know. And she was never really submissive. She would do everything that she did because she did that out of love, just exactly like you said. So I agree wholeheartedly.
Okay. Keith?
Well, I totally agree. You have to keep it interesting in any relationship, marriage especially, because the bonds that you have with another person, the bonds should be more than just a title. It should go a lot deeper. The respect has to be more on point for each other, and which, you know, everyone has their own opinion on how they view things. So I think support of one another helps things be a lot smoother around the house. If I expect something, I think you have to give something as well. So.
Yeah, because if I didn't do things, I'd probably get beat. But she could hit hard too.
Well, we're not talking about abusive relationships.
That's another show.
Right, that's another show.
That's definitely another show.
I'm just joking. She never did that. I was awake.
Okay,
But what would you gentlemen view as, because you know we talk about, you know, this particular experiment per se that she did, and that turned things around, which made the husband treat her like a queen. So my question for the gentleman is, what makes you not want to treat your wife like a queen, and what makes you want to? Because you know there are times that women can, you know, there's times where honestly you just can't even stand the woman you're with. What causes that? What are those attributes that turn you off about a woman?
Well, first thing, we all have to stop chasing an identity. You know what I'm saying? Because me, I look at things, individuals that I'm around. Most people I see are followers anyway.
Yes.
Because they're just, a lot of people are in the grave today and they never even knew who they were.
Right.
Yes.
Because
yes.
most of us are just fragments of this particular person. I want to be LeBron James,
Right.
or I want to be Rick James, or this, that, or whatever. Or I want to be RuPaul.
He said,
So,
Rick James, don't even do
I
it.
know.
Go ahead.
You better work, girl. But you know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? Most people are that way. So when you understand that dynamic, when you get into a relationship, remember to look up the word relationship and relating. You know, you have to break it down.
I like that.
Once that is done, you take your time with this relationship. It has to grow in many ways because you have to always, because we become very selfish. When you remember to stop and take a pause and remember, that woman is going to have to deal with me and my idiosyncrasies just like I'm going to have to deal with her. Once you have that right there, you have a balance. And then you go from there. Communication is the
Yes.
key.
Yes, I think that is so important. And I think that's the one thing that we kind of are very remiss about is communication, because I just feel like sometimes I can't, like, one of my biggest pet peeves is telling me what I should have known. Not everybody wakes up knowing everything you want in life or everything that you're supposed to, you know, aspire to do. And a lot of times what I may deem as support, you may not. You know, so that does cause such a rift sometimes and it's so sad because a lot of times you guys are thinking the same thing. You want the same things. You just haven't communicated
ways,
enough to
different ways to get
understand that that is what you guys are, you know, going towards. And so communication, I feel like, is definitely spot on. And people do not talk anymore. They're not friends anymore either.
Absolutely.
And we talked about that on our
They don't
show
even
last week.
like
They don't even
each
like
other.
each other.
That's right.
So how can you tell somebody to love somebody, you know, and you can tell the difference because body language says it all. I know some women who don't want to be disrespectful, but you'll say, hey, how you and your husband? Great. Wonderful, thanks. You're like, dog.
It's like that.
Okay, so I won't be asking anything. So I guess we're not gonna have a couples retreat.
And I mean, it could be just that day. It could be.
And it could be, but I'm just saying
but
there's so
that's
many people
yeah.
that live like that.
Absolutely.
And I have to tell this story. I will probably tell it on every show.
Absolutely.
But we went to a restaurant and I was telling them this was a romantic restaurant. And I would bring it up every time. Couples were just sitting there, head down. It's romantic. They on the cell phone. They looking at stuff around. They're not even talking to each other. They not looking in each other's eyes. I don't see nobody touching the hair, smelling behind the ear. What happened to all that? I love stuff like that. And people think it's a cornball thing, but romance is the bomb, you know? So these are things that I think people, when they communicate, this is what happens. You tend to be affectionate. You want to be up under your boo cakes. That's how it should be, you know?
That's how it should be,
Simple
but I
as
do
that
think
is.
that that's, you know, I think we
Exactly.
have kind of gotten away just because of how society is now.
Right.
You know, and I think that a lot of times people are so caught up in the image that they're portraying that they don't think about, you need to really invest and put your time in and really make sure that you and your mate are on the same accord when it comes to, you know, romance and affection and love, and even
Yes.
with, you know, whatever your plan is for your life. You know, you have to have the same life goals, you know, even if it's coming at it in a different way and I'm want to have a job and you want to do something different, overall we still need to be moving towards that same
Yes.
goal.
Yes.
And one thing I'll go ahead and tap into the first point she made is that one of the things she changed is that she physically greeted her husband at the door when he got home from work with a hug, smile, and a kiss. And she said that if she couldn't do that, at least have a good attitude.
Yes.
And what she did was to kind of go in here to say that a lot of times, you know, we don't even think because, like Andre said, we're so selfish. We're so
Yes.
caught up in what we're
Yes.
doing. You know how many times you can go home and the person that comes through the door, you just like, oh, hey.
Right.
If you
Or
say, hey,
if
right,
you say,
right,
hey,
right.
or you caught up in whatever
Really?
you're watching on TV or whatever's in your phone, and you don't take the time to really acknowledge that person. So after a point of time of seeing that all the time, then you get desensitized, and then you
Yes.
start feeling
Right.
like, well, y'all don't want me here, I won't be here anyway. So then you wonder why a man is somewhere
Right,
else.
he ain't coming home, right.
Yeah,
Because
because you
guess
get
what?
that.
Boo Boo Kitty is on the
Boo
outside
Kitty
telling him
wants you
he
to
is
be-
the
look,
bomb
Boo
taco.
Boo Kid is all over you talking about, oh, you look so good, oh, you
Oh, she
smell
didn't
so
tell
good.
you smell good. Oh, ew. Y'all know how y'all do. Don't act like y'all don't know.
So with that being said, I mean, even that one thing she said just
Yeah.
made a
Right,
tremendous
right.
difference because now he was excited to come home knowing that somebody was there to be glad to see him.
Absolutely.
And that one thing can be a game changer, especially if you haven't been getting it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So what's
Especially
your
if you
take
have,
on that?
if you would say, I can get on that. A man, you know, being a man, I don't have to distinguish color.
Right.
I'm sure the audience knows. We have a lot of things we have to deal with in the daytime.
Right.
Yes.
And
Yes.
from our jobs to making sure the kids are doing what they're supposed to do, staying out of mom's hair, making life easy for everybody. So when you come home from something like that and then the person is there waiting, wanting to greet you with open arms and all those things that you say, you know what, how was your day? You know, instead of it just being like the regular old humdrum, come in, put your, you know, change
Making
your
you feel
clothes, sit
appreciated.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, So I think that matters, and I think more than anything, to have a great friendship.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I think that's
So
so
Because
important.
you can
It is.
always, you know, some things we can get away with.
Yeah.
You know, we ain't gotta be as romantical,
Right.
as romantical as we could be, because we have a good relationship, we have a good communication.
Right.
You know, sit down
We're
once in a
friends.
while,
yeah.
do, you know, the things that you would not want to do. You know, I'm not a person that goes out to the movies, but I'll sit at home and watch a movie. So I try to make the best of that. To make that like, wow, this is all right. You know, maybe have a little, you know, whatever your beverage is,
Right,
cocktail, and you sit and relax and enjoy. You know, and you're at home, so you ain't got to be like feeling crowded or you know anything else.
Or
like that.
even, like she was saying, public display of affection, like
affection,
everybody is
yeah.
not comfortable with that. I do, you know, I know what you mean, like, but when you're into that person, it kind of happens more
It
naturally,
does.
and
Yeah.
and you kind of forget everybody around you, but everybody's not into that, so it may be
True.
more easy.
And I'm not talking about,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
tongue
no,
down
no,
at the
no,
table, you know. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Sitting out there
that
and
is stuff you
it's
can
loud.
leave for later, but you
Get a room.
Don't leave it all on the table. You know what I mean? Don't leave it all on the table.
Right, that's what they were thinking. They over there looking at
blowing a kiss over there while we eat our steak.
Hey Keith, you said about their favorite beverages, right?
Yeah.
And for these lovely ladies here, I would like to ask you, would you all be interested in the taste of a nice cold Dr. Pepper?
On that note,
Okay, baby.
we're going.
I love it. I will take a sip, sir. Thank y'all.
There you go,
We're
man.
gonna take a break, and we will.
It's cold too.
It's
Yeah.
listen.
That's what I'm talking about. It's a sweet boy.
See, I can't even finish. We'll be right back. Hi, Wi-Fi life.
I need it too. You were serious.